Welcome to setting up a Shadow MUF. Setting up a Shadow MUF only requires 3 changes to be made. Changing the DB sysid macro target MUF list parameter to include a second MUF name, adding a MUFplex startup option to the MUF startup options, using the current MUF startup JCL member to create a second MUF startup JCL member. Only the job name needs to be different. Everything else in the new JCL member is exactly the same. Now I'd like to do a brief demo and actually set up a Shadow MUF. Okay, if you would notice, there is already a MUF running, and so now I'm going to switch to the JCL, and we are going to make the changes to the source members first. Remember the sysid, we need to add a second name to the target MUF list, so I will add MUF2, exit and save it. Now I will change the sysin. I've already coded the MUFplex startup option. It was a comment, so I will uncomment it and save it. Now let's go to the actual JCL. There's already a current MUF running, so I'm going to submit an end of job in order to stop that MUF. And we got a condition code 0 on both the EOJ and the multi-user. We need to assemble the SID change, so I'm going to submit an assembly, and we got a condition code on of 0 on the assembly. So now I'm going to create the new or the second startup JCL member. We'll call it MUF2. And I will cancel out of this member so the changes are not saved. Do a refresh, and you'll see we now have the 2 startup. So let's go ahead and submit MUF1. That'll be the primary MUF. And now let's submit MUF2. It will be the Shadow MUF. We switch back to our active tasks, and we see that there are now 2 MUFs running. Let's take a look at MUF1 and the messages. And you'll see that we do have the regular multi-user enabled message, but in addition, you're going to see at the bottom, Shadow started, which is just notifying you that there is a Shadow MUF associated with this primary MUF. So let's go look at the Shadow MUF. And look at his messages. And you'll see that the last message in the Shadow MUF is Shadow MUF now waiting. Also note that there is not an enabled message, and that's because the Shadow is in a standby mode. It will take over if something should happen to the primary MUF, or if the primary MUF ends, the Shadow will become the primary. So let's demonstrate that. I'm going to stop the primary using a console command. And that was successful. Only MUF2 is running. Let's take a look at the messages in MUF2. And you will see now that this multi-user is enabled, and there is no Shadow present at the current time. So let's go restart MUF1. Go back to our JCL, and let's submit MUF1. Switch back to our active tasks, and you'll see that MUF1 has now started. Let's take a look at the MUF2, and his messages now show that there is a Shadow. And if we look at MUF1, you will see that MUF1 is now the Shadow MUF. Well, thank you very much for watching how to set up a Shadow MUF.